A wise man called Plutarch said, "The mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled." Ha ha ha. Think about that for a minute. That the mind is not a vessel that you just fill it in with stuff. It is a fire to be kindled. And then think about how you went to school. Question: was the mind filled in your schooling, or was it a fire that was set on? The fire that was kindled. And today, let me ask you a question. Is your mind a fire being kindled? Is your mind on fire, or is it something that is being filled by TV, social media, newspaper, gossip, movies, Hollywood, and so on? The quality of life that we're going to experience is commensurate with the quality of the kindled mind that we can be able to have as a human race. And I want us to discuss some of the benefits, one of the biggest benefits of the mind and its thinking into your life. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Nothing is useless. Nothing is as useless on this earth than a mind that is dull, unused, unthinking. And yet the owner of that mind lives, draws in air on a daily basis, and has opinions. That is the worst thing ever. As in, people open their mouth, there's no thinking that has gone through whatever it is that they are saying, but they are saying and they are passionate about whatever it is they are saying. I know the democracies have told us that there is freedom of thought, there's freedom of speech, and so on. That's why some guy in Uganda said, "I can guarantee you freedom of speech, but I cannot guarantee you freedom after speech." I know that's funny, but it's not funny at the end of the day, because if we are not going to be thinking, we are basically occupying space above the earth for nothing. The reason as to why we were given that brain, it is so that we can think. We can use it to think and think well. Because we are co-creators with God. That is my firm belief. We are not an animal that just operates through instinct. We are people who are supposed to stop, consider, think, evaluate, reevaluate, review, and do stuff based on the quality of the thoughts. It is not about intellect here. It's not about our intellectual capacity or not. No, it is just about being human. To be human is to think. There's a guy called Ray Bradbury actually. He said that with school turning out more runners, jumpers, racers, tinkerers, grabbers, snatchers, flyers, and swimmers instead of examiners, critics, knowers, and imaginative creators, the word intellectual, of course, became the swear word it deserved to be. Think about that for a minute. Are we these guys? Are we the critics? Are we the examiners? Are we the imaginative creators? This is not something that is supposed to be for gifts and talents that, oh, that guy is so gifted at thinking. That guy is so gifted at analytics. And I know that there's people who have, been their personality is just to critically analyze stuff and so on. But that doesn't excuse the rest of us from thinking. It doesn't excuse the rest of us from engaging the mind and considering stuff and thinking about things and meditating and mindstorming and brainstorming and planning and budgeting and doing all these things so that you can make the mind active. There's actually something called groove of thought, meaning that the more you engage the brain, it physically, the literal physical brain grows in one way or another through neurons and whatever because of a thought. The more you consider yourself an expert at something, physically the brain has an area allocated for it. Can you believe that? And so the brain can actually grow and become firmer and become versatile by usage. It's one muscle that grows by usage, and by the way, it never returns back to its normal capacity. Our biggest problem is we want artificial intelligence to help us. We want automation to help us, which has its place. Artificial intelligence has its place. Robotics, they have their place. Artificial intelligence, robotics, computing, automation, all these things, they have their place. Software has its place. Apps, they have their place. Their place is to automate stuff, and our place is to continue being thinkers and imaginative creators. Because in the first place, if there were no thinkers and imaginative creators, automation will not be there. We are called to think. We are supposed to think. The way we can only function and be productive on the face of the earth is through our thoughts. It is through our thoughts that we can make things to move and things to happen. Without our thinking, we are zombies. We have been zombified, and yet we are the crown of creation. We are the people who are supposed to make things happen. So one of the biggest things about our lives, it is the quality of our thoughts. And you will tell me, but Lawrence, why is this thinking business so important to you? Why is it so critical to you? Let me tell you something. I don't know what I will do without thinking. I'm talking about productive thinking. I don't know where I will be. Really, to be honest with you, I don't know what quality of life I will be having. And I'm thinking also, I don't know how better my life can become without thinking. I don't know how better it can grow. Let me tell you, let me ask you, is it possible for your life, or even for my life, to become better through a breakthrough, sheer breakthrough? You go and you pray and you get a breakthrough, or through an inheritance and your life becomes better. Is there a way it can become better through anything other than thinking? How many people, if your answer is yes, how many people can you name that their life became better through something else other than thinking? People that you are in relationship with, people that you know. How many? You'll be hard pressed to give me a number. You not even come up with two, maybe even one. You not come up with them. My point is that at the core of our productivity and our core of our development as a human being, as a human race, it is the discipline, the analog discipline of thinking. Let us digitize all we want, but let us stay analog with our thinking. There is no app for thinking. The app for thinking is called a brain, and it has got to be used as much as possible. So today, let us look at one of the advantages of thinking. Number one, it is through thinking that you are going to discover what your purpose is. Period. I've actually created a book. There's a book called Discover 8 Milestones on the Journey of Your Purpose that helps individuals to come through the process of discovering their purpose. Purpose discovery is something that doesn't have a fixed process, but it is there. People can actually discover their purpose and so on. And the biggest reason as to why people don't discover their purpose is because there is no process that has been provided for them to go through. And so they don't know what to do. where to begin. Even those ones who already know their purpose, they are not so confident in telling what their purpose is because there's no process. But in this book, there is the aspect of you thinking. In fact, it begins there. Let me tell you, the process of purpose discovery starts with you deciding. You will not decide without thinking. Have you ever seen someone arbitrarily deciding? There is nothing like arbitrary decisions. No arbitrary decisions. They are intentional, they are deliberate, they are long haul. And they come as a result of you sitting down and considering and thinking and desiring and being curious. And then the next step actually still involves the brain. It is what we call the inquisition. You send out queries. You go on a quest. And guess where the quest begins? Miles Monroe told us that God hid your purpose where He knows you will never miss it, and it is within you. Therefore, the thinking I'm talking about starts from within, and it's from within that you get to discover what your purpose is. Your purpose is not anywhere outside of you. It is not somewhere in the textbook. I'm telling you, it's not somewhere in the United States of America with a green card. It is within you. You came with it. It's not something that bandwagoned on you as you're growing older. It came loaded, locked inside of you, in your heart and in your mind. There is a connection between the mind and the heart. There is a very big connection in there. They keep communicating one to another, and they communicate the same thing for the most part. They communicate the same thing. It is about your purpose. The brain cracks it, the heart confirms it. The brain considers, looks for it, the heart goes and says, yes, this is it. The heart gives you the passion, the brain gives you the strategy. The brain is supposed to be engaged. There is no one who will consider what their purpose is without thinking. There is no way you will realize arbitrarily what your purpose is without considering, thinking, without putting your thoughts into consideration. There is no purpose. Purpose doesn't come outside of your brain. It doesn't come outside of your thinking. It doesn't come outside of your value system and your thinking. It doesn't come outside of your thinking. I can say that 1,000,000 times. Purpose doesn't come outside of your thinking. Therefore, do you have purpose? Don't you have purpose? If you don't have purpose, probably one of the reasons is because you are not thinking. You are not asking. You are not meditating. You're not requiring. You're not mind-storming. You're not brainstorming. You are basically not engaging the brain, and that's why the purpose has not been discovered. The purpose discovery process is not going to be done by a prophet. You know, some people normally go for these prophecies and they wait for a pastor or a prophet to come and lay hands on them and say, oh, I saw God, I saw the doors open, the heavens, and you are called to be X, Y, and Z. Never gonna happen. I mean, if that would be the case, how many prophets do you think God will rise up to cater for 7 billion people on the face of the earth at any one point in time? It's discovered by you, through you, and your thinking. That is the first benefit of thinking. The dull minds never come to discover their purposes. It is true, you can take that to the bank. The more dull you are, the less purposeful you become. But you notice that the guy who are sharp in their thinking, they also have a sense of urgency, and they also have a sense of purpose, and they have a sense of direction with where they're going with their lives, because they have discovered what their purpose is. And they have discovered what their purpose is because they have actually considered thinking. In my course, which I'm going to launch sometime later on purpose discovery, thinking is the number one, actually the number 2 activity. Okay, maybe the number 1 activity and also number 2 activity, because there's going to be a decision you gotta make, and then there's going to be an inquisition or an inquiry that you're going to make, and that involves thinking. Without thinking, there is no purpose discovery. Tomorrow we're going to look at another thing that helps us to discover what is the benefit of our thinking. Until then, Bye-bye. A special shout out to my mentor Jeffrey Howard of Visionary Business University, found at mastermindmentor.com, who has graciously provided me with the soundtrack and the introductory track to this podcast. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.